Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross-politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
We're back. I hope you aren't black-pilled.
What?
Yep. Because that show just played last night.
Yeah.
There you go.
Don't be black-pilled.
Don't be black-pilled. Make sure you don't miss that show. Is with my brother and Nate Wilson. It was a live show at the New Art during Gracie Agenda.
There was some really fun brother dynamics going on there between Gabe and Aaron, just working things out just right in front of
everybody.
The world.
Yeah,
that was going to be
some
a counseling
serious
session.
misspent youth between me and my brother there.
Yeah, I got a lot to work out.
Classic wrench action.
That's right. Pastor Toby Chalk Knox, I'm the Water Boy. And it's good to have Andrew Crappyshot's back in the studio, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm glad to be here.
Hey, I got another quote.
Really?
From
We're going to do another reading.
Another reading. Again, if
Story
you have
time,
not...
Andrew, this has kind of become a habit now on the show.
If you've
Somebody
not
take that magazine
subscribed to
away
our
from me.
magazine...
Who's in charge? How do you stop it?
We've tried.
We have this idolatry... Can you guys be quiet? We have this section in the magazine called Idolatry Today.
Idolatry Today.
Yeah, featuring Balaam's wise ass. So these are, kind of wise sayings from Balaam's ass.
Donkey.
Sure.
State of Florida bans rainbows during rainstorms. In his continuing effort to oppress LGBTQ plus people in the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis has issued an executive order to outlaw rainbows during rainstorms.
Yeah.
Very important work going on. And
you don't know about it anywhere else except for Fight Laugh Feast magazine.
That's right.
So
you would never hear that reported anywhere
That's
else.
not on Babylon Bee or anywhere else. Anywhere else.
Exclusively in the Fight Laugh Feast magazine. Hey, discover why more than 1 million people use the free Olive Tree Bible app as their go-to for reading, studying, and listening to God's Word. Start by downloading one of many free Bibles and start taking notes, highlighting verses, and bookmarking your favorite passages. You can read at your own pace or choose from a large selection of reading plans, including the Bible Reading Challenge, the one that originated here in Moscow, Idaho. When you are ready to go deeper into your studies, Olive Tree is right there with a large selection of study Bibles, commentaries, and other helpful study resources available for purchase. There's also an extensive bookstore that allows you to build your digital library one book at a time, and Olive Tree's Sync technology lets you pick up where you left off on your tablet, PC, or phone and get right to studying on another supported device. I've got like a Hebrew Bible and a Greek Bible. I just grab those things. Now here's the best part. You can start with the Olive Tree Essentials Bundle for free. Go to www.olivetree.com/FLF and download it today.
That ad was actually we love Steve Cummings. He's the CEO of Olive Tree. He's at King Strauss and in our church. The ad was actually supposed to be for RedBalloon, but somehow in the production
Olive
side of things,
look, the Bible or jobs, which one's more important? Olive Tree's probably a good decision there.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about RedBalloon plenty.
We're very grateful to have with us Andrew Crappyshot's again back. He keeps coming back. We're really grateful.
Keep doing stuff,
Just
man.
around the corner.
Yeah, it's true.
I was
not
lost.
Far. It's not far.
He's a pioneer in the labor market data and analytics industry.
My team writes that stuff.
Pioneer in labor market data and analytics industry. I don't know what the joke is here, but
inside joke.
the visionary behind RedBalloon.work.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you're tired of all that woke shenanigans, go to RedBalloon.work.
There it is.
Right, that's the ad right there.
Yeah.
He's also an elder at Christ Church. He serves faithfully. He's also developing. There's a new housing
Eddington
development.
Development.
Here in Moscow with 105
lots.
ready to go now.
Yes.
Almost?
Yes, you can buy them now. You
Nearly.
can give me money today.
Nearly.
So
I will
they're
be
almost
happy.
ready, but you can
Almost
buy them
ready.
now.
Yeah.
If you're having a lot of problems, I feel bad for you, son. I have 99 problems, but a lot
ain't one of them.
And where can people go to find out about that? Eddington.
I have no idea.
Is there a website?
Story Real Estate. They go
Story
to our,
Real
they go to
Estate,
our,
we've
our
got
corporate sponsors.
Okay.
Corporate sponsor, Story Real Estate has some of those
see how
lots
that worked
there
out?
for you.
I found the website. I searched it and I found it. I knew there's a website. But
So we're not here to talk about the housing development, but we put a lot of thought into what does a what does a Christian housing development look like, right? And so we like, okay, we're gonna have an alley system in the back, so front doors can actually be front doors, right? You can actually be welcoming instead of what they call snout houses, where it's like, here's your garage. Oh, by the way, there's a door over
Welcome to
here.
my garage.
Welcome to my garage,
That's what
right?
we say.
And
I miss alleys. I love that because that's a Southern thing.
yeah,
It's
so we've got alleys through the whole thing. So front doors can be front doors, and there's a lot of studies that show. So you've got local traffic ends up on the alleys, and so you can build more community because the
You can
street's
walk
not so busy. You can
safer,
walk
yeah.
places,
Okay.
make front yards more important, make front yards great again.
There you go.
Is what we're trying to
It's
accomplish.
It's also on a really nice hillside that overlooks
It's on a hillside.
like,
You
the
get
whole
a
town.
view, and then Eddington obviously is the name of a battle where Alfred the Great beat back the barbarian hordes to save Christian England. So
Yeah.
you feel like you're part of history.
Right.
You have a house. You're welcoming people. All the things.
Yo, we
it's
gotta-
amazing.
You're-
You know, the
you're
housing
winning.
development, we've never really talked about Christian worldview and how it applies to the housing development.
We've thought a lot about this.
we got to
Let's
talk
have him back
about
on sometime.
let's talk about that
Let's have
another
you back on
time.
sometime and talk more about the housing development.
And maybe whoever else is
fantastic.
thinking through that with you, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So we actually have you here to talk about the Freedom Economy Index,
FEI.
which
Yes, sir.
I have no idea what that is.
You've made something else new.
It's like DEI, but FEI.
Yeah, but FEI.
It
FEI.
came in and said, we're
Oh,
talking to
boy.
Andrew about the FEI. And I was like,
Sure.
right.
FEI.
right.
Okay.
What verse is that in?
Freedom Economy Index. Okay, so here's our thinking. So we are good friends with Public Square, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
between us,
Cypher.
we have like over 50,000 businesses as part of this freedom economy. And so we thought, I wonder what they're thinking about the economy, about politics, about a wide range of issues.
Yeah.
And so we surveyed them, and we got thousands of responses from business owners all across the country.
Yeah.
And we now have, I would argue, one of the only proprietary survey results of these people who feel like the silent majority. And, you know, the mainstream liberal media wants us all to believe that we're the only ones that think the way we do, and we're all idiots.
Right.
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 And so we wanted to say, okay, that we know that there's a lot of people in this world that are thinking like this. So couple interesting things. I'm going to get into some of the things we're going to talk about today, but the biggest headliner for me is that most of the businesses in the freedom economy, they are optimistic about their business. They're hiring, they're growing, and they're highly pessimistic about the economy. Right?
Interesting.
Okay. So they're like, no, I am winning right now. I've got work out the wazoo. I'm booked for 6 months, but I think the economy is going into recession. Like 80%
Okay.
believe we're going into recession, but believe that they're doing fine. And I think it's this Puritan work ethic of like, I'm going to take responsibility for my business. My business is doing well.
Right.
I do what I say what I'm going to do for the price I say I'm going to do it, when I say I'm going to do it. And lo and behold, my business is thriving.
Successful.
Right. And so we have this kind of tale of two economies happening right now in the U.S. You have this the freedom economy that's just thriving under the radar, and then you have the big tech that's laying people off, and the blue
Right.
states that are losing people. And so it's this really interesting moment in the economy where people believe that, man, you know, Biden's doing terrible things, the Fed's doing terrible things, and that's true. But I'm just going to take responsibility for me and my family and my business. I'm just going to get my stuff done, which is really, really interesting.
Because this survey is more smaller businesses. It's not large, big corporations.
Yeah. So the freedom economy, most of these businesses are under 10 employees. And so like 80% are just small businesses who are just getting their work done in their community.
And they're succeeding.
they're succeeding.
They're making it.
Right. And that should be really encouraging that
Right.
if you actually just do your work, you might actually do just fine.
Now, do they think that though that they're doing their work, that they're going to hit a brick wall because of the way the economy is going?
Well, see, that's the thing. This is that Puritan Christian work ethic of like, yeah, I mean, the economy's bad, but I've got to figure it out. Right.
So they're not concerned
I'm just going to
about-
figure it out.
Yeah. So
I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to work hard. I'm a small business, so I'm agile. I can kind of adapt,
Adjust and adapt.
and I'm going to figure it out. So anyway, that's really cool.
I think that's encouraging because I think there's a lot of people in our audience we've talked with over the years where they're working for a big company or, you know, and they're
And you're scared to jump.
you're scared to
Sure.
make that jump.
Yeah.
And that's really encouraging. And it, you know, I mean, take the risk. You know?
don't have to work for the mob bosses. You
Right.
don't have to work
That's
for
right.
the DEI woke
Yep.
mob. You can join another conservative business that's already going.
Yep.
And
Or
make
you can
it
start your own. Geronimo,
Right.
you know.
So, are you going to tell us about some of the stats? You got
Yeah.
some,
So
you got
this
some
is some
data?
of the stats here. So
You're a data pioneer.
I'm a data pioneer. So here's a graph.
Sorry, I'm not
Yeah, no.
laughing.
is this available somewhere, Andrew?
This is
Yes.
sure.
RedBalloon
Sure.
.work/freedom economy.
Sure. Why not? Make it happen.
That's 100%.
That will be true.
Get on it, Isaac.
No, it is. It is. 'Cause that's why I downloaded it. I went to RedBalloon.
It doesn't exist.
Freedom economy.
And you've got what we've already released. I am releasing new data today on this show.
What?
About what these people think.
Breaking.
90% of these people, and 90% of, oh shoot, do you have it?
Yeah, it was in the
That's
report
frustrating.
that I downloaded today. That's frustrating.
Guess what?
I'm a pioneer also.
Dang it. I want to be a pioneer.
But so, like 90% of people don't agree on anything. But 90% of these people, thousands of businesses, believe that the Biden administration is harmful for the economy.
It's incredible.
That is not shocking.
Right, right.
That is not surprising.
we
No,
agree
no
on-
one,
we agree
no
on
one in this survey said that he was outstanding for the economy.
No, zero.
Yeah.
Zero. No
Or
one said
fair.
he was even fair.
No.
They had a couple people or a couple of businesses said he's neither good nor bad.
Okay.
Some people said he was poor, but like 90% said
Right.
that's incredible.
Okay, keep going. I want to ask a
Okay,
question.
other things that they're worried about, less than 50% are worried about racial tension.
Okay.
Almost 50% though. But 90% believe that the weaponization of the government against political adversaries is very bad for our economy.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And you see that with RFK, you see that with Vivek. A lot of these
Trump.
candidates, like they're really
Georgia.
worried
Yeah.
that the weaponization of the government is going to take our nation down. Right. And that's terrifying.
and it's funny because they're thinking about this as a business.
as a
Right.
business.
They're not
right?
thinking about like, oh, in
And that's,
relationships.
businesses, we're always thinking about, what are our risks? Where do we need to be thinking about
You
in the
need
future?
you need relative cultural and political stability.
That's right.
To have business success.
That's right.
You need to have predictability.
Which
Yeah.
is why the racial stuff is a problem too, because
Sure.
it destabilizes society.
That's right.
Destabilization is
Yeah.
really concerned for these people.
Because you as a businessman, you make plans.
Yeah.
You have to count on certain
You want things to be predictable.
trends
Yeah,
and predictable.
that's right.
But if you have this big whale that's
right.
it's disrupting everything constantly,
Yeah.
you can't make plans. Keep
Bi-
going.
Biden's
right.
the well. Biden's the well.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm at the state. Behemoth.
People, they're worried about the increased transgender ideology in the public schools, which is interesting as business people. They're
wow.
still like, hey, that's my future workforce.
Yeah.
And they do care about social issues, right? And that's the advantage of small businesses. They're actually not just focused on how do I make my next $1 billion. It's how do we build a society? Because I think we've lost this vision of small businesses in community, building the community.
Yeah.
And when you have a lot of these small businesses, when we've talked to now thousands of these small businesses, they care about their communities and their economies, which includes the transgender issue in the schools.
It strikes me that the small business in many respects is kind of what the household was in the ancient world.
Yep.
That's right.
So when you read in the household codes, you always have, it's husbands and wives and children, but then you always have the servants section. And I think there's a lot of overlap there. It's not exactly the same, but good entrepreneurs, good businessmen care for their employees and provide for them. And that's a personal relationship.
Yeah.
And everybody wins.
But when you're a small welding shop in a community, you care about the community in a different level than if you're a multinational, right? And
That's
so,
right.
And there are 32 million small businesses in America. 32 million. So that is the lifeblood of our economy, and they're mostly silent. And that's what we wanted to try and capture some of that voice. Those are the people who are getting the stuff done. And unfortunately, the big multinationals who have the lobbyists in D.C., they're the ones who get the stuff. But these are the people who are getting the stuff done, which is really interesting to me. So,
All right, keep going.
they think that the government-mandated DEI and ESG is extremely harmful, has a negative impact on their business.
But they're smaller companies. How are they getting affected by ESG?
Because they are their supply chain, right? No matter how small your business is, you're not your whole supply chain. You don't have vertically integration, right? And so all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm worried because the people that I buy stuff from are more concerned about the environment and the latest social good rather than, and it's not really a social good, but what they're told is they're more worried about that than actually getting the product across, right? I talked to people at Silicon Valley Bank after they went out of business, some of the employees, and they said, we did weekly microaggression training. We did weekly microaggression training, and what's worse is the credit people knew that the bank was going to fail, but they knew that if they went and talked to someone, particularly if they had a different skin color, that would be considered a microaggression. Therefore, they would get fired and defrocked and tarred and feathered. And so they didn't say anything, right? And so you lose the innovation. So those policies have a huge impact on small businesses all across this country.
Man, if you're a fan of Cross Politic or the Fight Laugh Feast Network, then surely you know we have a merch store, right? Rowdy Christian Merch is your one-stop shop for everything Cross Politic merchandise. We've got t-shirts. Hey, get that hat out of my camera. Come on.
It's a great hat.
But we've also got specialty items like backpacks, mugs, coffee, even AirPod cases. Are you into AirPod cases?
Oh, big time.
I like mine. Yeah.
You too, huh?
Yeah.
Visit Rowdy Christian Merch at rowdychristian.com and buy that next gift or a little something for yourself. Again, that's rowdychristian.com.
So, you got some more stats there? Because I have other questions.
Well, I think the other thing that has just been really interesting to me is the number of businesses that are trying to onshore as much of their supply chain as possible. Right. So the blue collar jobs are blowing up in America right now, partly because the geopolitical concerns in the Ukraine and Asia. Like if you're beholden to those, the supply chain over in Asia right now, you should be concerned about your business, right? I talked to $1 billion business and they said his best sales year ever, and we cannot deliver the product because we're waiting for chips coming out of Asia right now. And so there's this really interesting dynamic. These freedom economy businesses are saying, how do we onshore our entire supply chain, our employees, and everything else so that we're not beholden to what's happening over there? And so that's also a big concern for them is geopolitical stuff, even for small businesses, because they need that supply chain.
I want to talk about hiring and firing and not firing, but finding employees.
And firing.
Yeah, firing them too.
I love firing.
It's
so fun.
Firing's fun. I think I fired my first person when I was working for you.
Yeah, sure.
At
And I coached him through it.
Yeah,
and
it was like
he was euphoric
I was like,
coming out of
my
it.
goodness.
This is the best.
I want to know why in just a moment here.
We didn't know where we were going with that.
Yeah. And then later, Andrew fired me. So you got the
So fun.
You ever see Highlander? Where it's like you kill the guy and you get all his power.
Right.
That's how you guys are firing.
That's it.
Gabe fired so many people, then I fired him and I got
All the power.
It
was amazing. It was amazing.
When you do a study like this, what is it that you get out of it? What are you trying to grasp from this that you can help other people with? How is this useful?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. Part of it is I want to make sure that these small businesses are getting their voice out into the media, out into politics, so that people they're underrepresented in the conversation nationally right now. So I want them to be represented in that group.
You own your own business, and it's just you working, and you feel isolated. No
one knows what I think or cares what I think, right? And so I'm helping to give them representation in the media and politics. I'm able to talk because this is one of the larger surveys of this group of people ever. And all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, now I get my voice out there. And we're going to start doing it monthly. This was the first one.
Okay.
We're going to do it every month and ask a variety of different issues of so what do you think about hiring and firing? What are you worried about on that front? Where do you buy your stuff from? How are you thinking about commerce in this woke versus freedom economy world? Those are just interesting topics for this group. And so I find that helpful for them and helpful for me to be able to know more about them. And then we ask a lot of things about how big is your business? We found out that most of the businesses, all the businesses that had at least 10 employees are hiring right now. They're in growth mode. Wow. That's super encouraging. The freedom economy is thriving while the woke economy is struggling. Well, cool. We wouldn't have known that if I hadn't asked.
Is there a massive difference between red businesses and blue businesses? I guess they never used to have a title before, but I guess
that's what he's calling the freedom.
Freedom and the woke economy.
But I mean, are there a difference in their growth? Really, that much of a difference?
I think that's what's happening right now, and nobody's talking about it because it's all under the radar. There are lots of small businesses, but you look at there was a ranking of the states that are thriving the most. The best for business. Their prosperity is the highest. They're all red states, right? And so it's nice because it used to be, as Tucker Carlson said in his famous speech before he got fired, it used to be that we would debate this paper and that paper and which paper was going to win. Well, the nice thing is we have a scorecard right now. Red state policies are winning. The economies are thriving. Red businesses are winning. They're thriving because they just show up and work hard and spend less time. Because anytime you're Silicon Valley Bank and you're spending your time on microaggression training rather than protecting people's money or things that a bank should be doing, you're going to fail. Right. It's a matter of time. And so like this is just Proverbs playing out in the business world. Now we have a scorecard like, oh, I guess Proverbs is right.
So maybe this is pushing us in a slightly different direction, but you said many of these businesses are thriving, doing well, but also are expecting economic hardship.
Yeah,
are expecting an economic downturn.
Yep.
So that's what they're expecting. What are you seeing? So I mean, you've done market analysis for a long time. You've done data analysis for a long time. Do you think they're right? How do you think businesses should be thinking about this?
So a recession can be a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? If everyone's terrified enough
and starts pulling back,
and they start pulling back, well, then the economy slows down,
right?
And there's supply side economists as they would say that people are producers, not consumers, right? Mm-hmm. And the government talks about we need to get consumption up. They're all consumer.
Right.
But we're made in the image of God. We're producers. We're not just consumers. We have two hands and one mouth.
That's right.
So let's make stuff. And so we need to just unleash the U.S. economy. But inflation's killing us. The Fed's trying to kill small businesses, right? Big businesses don't need the access to credit that small businesses do.
Right.
And so the Fed's actions have been disproportionately focused on small businesses, which is hard on them.
Disproportionately affects small businesses.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point. We were just talking about this earlier. Like, if you don't have capital, how can you do anything?
Right.
So how does one work to even, because as you're talking, I guess there's a lot of people saying, man, I'm good at something. I actually can be a blessing to people, but I don't have capital to get started. How does that work?
Well, I would also argue it's been drilled into us that we need to build a big business. We need to raise a bunch of money. And then we need to sell the business, right? That is the game plan that we're told to do. But I don't think that's what Proverbs teaches. We need to patiently build a business very carefully. With less than $50,000, most businesses can be built. If you're willing to tighten your belt and to be careful, and use some of your savings, you can start to build a business. Everything doesn't have to be a multi-million-dollar seed round that turns into a public offering or a big exit.
Right.
Learn to sell to 10 people first.
Yeah. What if I go find a customer while I keep my full-time job? And 6 days you shall work, and I bet your current job doesn't require 6 days. So
hey, you've got one probably.
You got nights and weekends, nights and Saturdays.
Right. So work a little bit harder. The unions came up with the 40-hour work week. You can start a business without taking the risk, right? You don't want to extend your arm farther than you can pull it back. And so you can go find a customer, see how you can bless a person, and then find another one, and then find another one. And you don't have to be like, okay, I've got this big fancy business model. I'm going to go raise $10 million. And the only way that this is going to work out is a huge exit.
It's funny, as you're talking, it's like you can really win with the lemonade stand.
That's right.
That's right. We don't think like that. Well, thank you. I'm a poet, didn't know it. You really could, though. So what are some of the hiring challenges that you're seeing from some of the small businesses right now?
They can't get people to show up and work. No, but really, like I talked to a business.
Oh, my goodness.
They said when they post their job on Indeed, 90% of people don't even show up for the interview, let alone the job. They don't even 10% show up for the interview.
They'll go through the trouble of applying
and getting their unemployment insurance check,
and then not actually
showing up to work. And so we have a generation. I think we fundamentally changed the relationship between work. With COVID, did that, right?
And welfare.
So here, you guys actually collected some verbatim quotes. From these businesses about the pain of finding good employees. So here's some of their the businesses quotes.
Wow.
Lack of motivation to work.
Right.
Daddy problems.
No initiative.
Daddy problems,
No initiative. Lack of confidence. Mediocrity.
Daddy problems.
Lack of skill and poor work ethic.
Daddy problems.
Job hoppers. They're a bunch of job hoppers. No willingness to work hard. Lack of ethics.
Daddy problems.
Young people do not take jobs seriously.
Father hunger.
Not dependable. No drive.
Oh my goodness. They get spankings from their dad.
Yeah. Exactly. Lack of work interest in youth. Lack of strong work ethic.
You can figure that out.
Keep going.
My son went and poured concrete this summer.
Yeah.
And worked for a good Christian man, and we went down and hung out with him one weekend just to see where my son was and everything. And the guy said, he was really complimentary and grateful for my son working for him. He says, man, he comes to work every day on time with his lunch, and he's not high.
Right.
Wow.
It's a big deal.
And I was like,
goodness
thank
gracious.
you. You know, that is
It's true though.
But he was.
The bar's low.
I know, but
and that's to be encouraging.
Show up to work high, smoking weed. Like the bar's low.
For all you families out there that are raising kids, lots of them, like you have a huge advantage in the labor market.
Right.
Because you're competing against people who won't show up with a lunch and they're high. Right.
Yep.
And so this is a huge opportunity. And this is back to like the freedom economy and the woke economy. We're going to win. Right.
You mentioned earlier, I think it was maybe before we started recording, but you've alluded to the Biden administration, our statist, over-regulated economy. I mean, I think it was before we started recording, 25% of certain costs of like is housing in particular is like it's regulation costs.
Yep.
And I know it's the same thing with small businesses. I mean, it's like you can't. I mean, can you just do a lemonade stand? Or is that even legal? I mean, I know sometimes there's little carve outs for kids, like literal kids doing a lemonade stand.
We don't ask that question,
but how do you counsel somebody who says I want to do it? Okay, you said less than $50,000. Like I can bust it on the weekends, bust it on the evenings. I don't outside my normal work hours, but all the regulations. I mean, it's more than that, right?
Yeah, it is, but you can be under the radar for a long time, and maybe this isn't legal to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, right? You can file an LLC in Idaho for $100,
okay,
and then now you've got some legal protection. Mm-hmm. It's really straightforward to do. And then you can just start doing things with that LLC really straightforward. You can do it with QuickBooks. Mm-hmm. You can find a bookkeeper that will take care of a lot of the details for $35-$40 an hour. It doesn't cost as much as all of that. And I'd say a job started is a job half done, right? It's just the unknown is the terrifying part of it.
Okay.
But just go out and start doing stuff. When you get to $1 million business, are you going to have to fight the headwinds of regulations? Sure. Absolutely. But hopefully you've got some revenue with which to do that.
But if you're just doing a few favors for friends and they just happen to donate a couple monies to you.
Trading.
Trading.
I mean,
100%. I mean,
they're just gifting you some
even bigger businesses, not any that I know anything too much about, are happy to trade because we're all trying to avoid the taxes and regulation. So,
are you? Can I ask?
Go ahead.
We're out of time, aren't we?
Go ahead.
In this data, are you seeing any particular industries that are winning more? Like, if you are you seeing anything like here's the freedom economy, and here are some of the standouts, or here's some of the areas in the freedom economy that are really winning?
Honestly, the ones that I'm seeing the most are construction, manufacturing, things that don't take a lot of money to get going. I talked to an HVAC guy. He's like, I am booked for 2 years right now in the Northeast.
Man,
right?
Yeah.
So, just work hard. Do what you say you're going to do for the price you're saying you're going to do it, and you're probably going to win.
Yeah. That's good. That's really good.
Okay, so do they go as well into, I guess in here, is how much they're making averaging per?
No, I mean, we ask them how many employees they have.
Okay.
And there's a lot of mom and pops in here that are thriving, right? And you can go list your business on Public Square for free. If you need us to help, RedBalloon for $75 a month, you can get a job posting up. You're going to start building your employment brand, right? The cost of entry is actually not as high as you might think. You just got to do it. It's hard work.
You have 7 employees in your house,
I do.
right?
Oh, yes.
Yes, you do.
Last thing, and I'll leave it here, but I really want you to talk about winning, how we're going to win on the end of this, because I don't think a lot of people right now, the narrative they don't hear that they're going to win.
Yeah.
They don't see that they're going to win. They're just working as hard as they possibly can, but they're kind of doing it faithlessness.
Right.
Instead of actually being faithful because
Careful
they know that there's success at the end of this.
Yeah.
So just for a second, if you just talk about what you're seeing and how you project that, no, this is winning at the end of the day.
Right. There's 2 ways you need to be thinking about winning, right? One of them is the economic winning of we're going to have a business that is thriving. We're making money. We're making more money than we were before we did this. The other one is just I am joyful. I'm spending more time. I'm giving my kids a work ethic because we're working together. We're building this business together. Winning can be generational. We don't have to be making this money right now. But I do think that winning is going to look like businesses that are thriving and businesses that are making a bunch of money because they're part of this freedom economy.
You mentioned this, I think, last time on the show. The woman that wrote you about her marriage.
Yes.
I mean,
that's winning.
I mean, right? Yeah. I mean, just having joy in what you do.
Yep.
I mean, what's better? The joy knowing that I'm building something that I believe in. My marriage is thriving. My family is thriving. Or working for the man something you hate.
That's right.
And your marriage is stressed, your family is stressed. I mean, what's more valuable?
Yeah.
You may for some time have less money in the bank, but you might have more money, more capital in your marriage, in your home, in your family, in your community, and that's worth way more.
100%.
All that is true, and amen. And I want to add too that we don't live in the kind of world that's random.
Right.
Faithfulness produces success over time.
God sees faithfulness.
And faithfulness to the Lord, that's exactly what the children of Israel were supposed to remember when they got into the land.
Right.
Was that type of faithfulness to the Lord. And so I think one of the things that's really important right now is make sure that you're in a faithful church, that you're committed to them, that you're being faithful in your marriage and your family, and you're being faithful at work, and watch God bless all those things.
And let God bless it. Don't stress the details.
And just be faithful and all that. Okay, website that people can go to.
And then join Cross Politics Club. Right?
And that's also good. That's part of winning. That is part of winning.
RedBalloon, right?
Big time. And then, RedBalloon.work.
Okay. Hey, Andrew, appreciate you. We're going to come back on and talk about
RedBalloon.org/freedom economy.
There it is.
I also found it. It's eddingtondevelopment.com.
There it is.
All right.
Good to know.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
How do you choose who to trust? Doesn't it usually come down to personal connection? Then why do only 25% of people trust a real estate agent when our job is all about connection? Sounds like there's something missing. Here at Story Real Estate, we're looking for people with integrity and a willingness to serve others. When people get to know you in this career, they should discover a genuine and helpful person who can guide them through tough times. If that's you, join us today. I'm Chris Carpenter, the owner and founder of Story Real Estate. Click the Learn More button and let's see if we have a career you'll love.